I've just watched the most racist Spider-Man movie of all time. Run that goddamn intro!
Oh, yeah.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so here we go. We're talking about Spider-Man Lotus. Now, I wanted to just say, I wanted to do an entirely different video than what this is. I wanted to live react to Spider-Man Lotus, and what I mean by that is, I wanted to, like, watch the film, pause it, and then talk about it. But I realised about half an hour in, I just weren't saying nothing, and it wasn't because I was engaged into it, it's because I was actually so depressed. Alright, now let me just, so I've got some bullet points, okay, so I wrote down some bullet points like a true journalist, and I want to go through every single one in today's video. So, let me just clear out the way first, right? The racist stuff, alright? Immediately puts a sour taste in my mouth when I watch this movie, right? We know what Warden Wayne said, we know what Gavin said, we know what Goblin said, we know we know what the problems are in the movie, yeah? That doesn't reflect every single person who was a part of the film, right? So you don't want to go after everyone, but there is still a bitter taste in the mouth. Like, so for example, right, there's a part where Peter in the movie is just a complete bumhole to MJ for literally no reason. Just straight up just basically calls her an attention-seeking hoe, right? Which is nuts. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? And I couldn't help but feel like, if it wasn't Warden Wayne who did this delivery, it wouldn't be so bad, but because I know that he's a bit of a dodgy fella in real life, it makes it even worse in the movie. So, I don't know, I couldn't get over it, to be honest with you. And, you know, like, again, another thing I wanted to address as well is that I understand this is a fan movie and potentially I'm asking way too much of Gavin and everyone else, but you have to remember that this was given a lot of boost and potentially more attention than any other fan film in the history of ever. And I mean, you know, we've seen some of the things Gavin has said about the John Watts movies and stuff like that. You can tell that this movie was designed specifically for Gavin to say, look, John Watts, I can do it better. And when you have a film like that, you immediately become the most pretentious guy on the planet, alright? So, one of the things I do have wrote down, though, is that the acting, okay? Now, let me just clear this up. Warden Wayne's acting is garbo, okay? Let me tell you, I'm not a good actor, alright? I've never claimed to be, fair enough. But this guy is not a very good actor. Alright, just straight up, like, and maybe it's because of the racism stuff that I just can't, like, take him seriously, but he's not a very good actor. And I'm gonna say that for pretty much every single person in the movie, and I feel so guilty, but, like, the lady who plays Gwen, she didn't get a lot to work with, but she weren't hitting, you know what I mean? Like, so one of the points in the movie was that Peter and Gwen are in a point where they're gonna, like, propose to each other, but their chemistry and their acting just seems so bad towards each other that I actually wondered if they even liked each other. I was like, are they even together? Like, what, is he about to ask her out? Like, what's happening here? But no, they're on to the point where they feel like they can propose to each other. I'm like, yeah, maybe propose couples therapy. What are you talking about? Like, they're nowhere ready for that. Like, it's just, the relationship feels so unadvanced, right? Especially considering he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. It feels like more of a second date. It's so strange. But yeah, so the only guy who had good acting in this movie, in my opinion, was the guy who was playing Harry. I don't have their names. I do apologise. Unfortunately, just due to the racism stuff, their names haven't been brought up because they didn't do anything bad. But Harry was hitting. He was doing good stuff. I'm really glad that they sort of put a lot of attention on Harry. I will say, and again, I just feel so nasty, but the actor who was playing as MJ, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is a career for you. I don't know. Like, it weren't all that, alright? It wasn't. Now, that wasn't the only thing, okay, that I want to sort of address right off the bat, because that's not, you know, acting in a fan movie wasn't always going to be that great anyway. But the VFX, okay, it wasn't great. A lot of the times, it looked like Spider-Man PS4 graphics, which, again, beautiful game, but that's a video game, right? This is real life, yeah? But it's kind of forgivable because it's a fan movie. Some of the choreography was okay too. Like the beginning with the shocker and stuff, I thought that was fine. I did think it was really weird that Spider-Man in that segment pulled guys in the way of Shocker's blast. I'm a bit like, you could have killed them, you know? Like, what happened to getting Spider-Man? Like, I don't think he would do that. But the Goblin fight was dreadful, though. I will say that. Like, choreography in the Green Goblin fight was not good. Was absolutely abysmal. And this film has like this really weird thing where it tries to do Moon Knight style stuff. So you know how like a lot of people were upset about Disney Plus Moon Knight skipping huge fights because like he would, you know, switch characters and then he would come back and, you know, be Mark or Steven or whatever and everyone's dead around him. That happened a lot in this movie. And I get you can't record, like maybe you have limitations on budget or stuff like that, but it just looks really tacky. Like Spider-Man isn't Moon Knight, so I don't understand why you've sort of... I don't know why that's happened. It was just a really weird choice, to be honest. And speaking of weird choices, man, let me tell you something, alright? There was way too many flashbacks and montages in this movie. I think Peter has a flashback for maybe half of the movie's entire runtime, which, by the way, it isn't 2 hours. Like, there is a lot they could get rid of, and that ridiculously long credit scene, for there to be no post-credit scene, by the way, is nuts. It's just mental. But there was way too many flashbacks, way too many montages. I get you're supposed to show how much Gwen means to Peter, but if you're a Spider-Man fan, you already know that, right? Like, you already know about Uncle Ben. You already know about why Peter already feels guilt besides Gwen, right? There's a lot of things that they showed here. They just didn't need to show us, right? You know, they didn't need to do this, like, dump of information, and that happens again, man. Like this, I tell you, there's a one scene with the person who plays MJ and Flash Thompson, right, and it lasts so long, and it is just dialogue about like, you know, their history, right? And I'm sat there thinking, I get it, Gavin, I get it. You've read comic books. I get it. You know these characters. Good job. Good job. You know, like, it felt like someone was trying to, like, talk down to me while I was watching it. Like, I get it, bro. Yeah, Flash had his problems. He was a bully. I get it. Peter stood up for himself. Like, you know, Jesus Christ. Like, it was weird, man. But, like, you know, like, I wrote here, literally, in my notes, a lot of this movie felt like someone was trauma dumping their own problems via Spider-Man. This was torture PORN. Like, just to put it completely bluntly, like, it's so weird. Like, it's just so not a superhero movie, I guess. But maybe that's the point. I don't know. But, like, a lot of the dialogue sounded like someone reading a fan fiction on a creepypasta site. So, I don't know what they were going for with. I don't know what they were going for with that. There's problems with the set design. So, for example, one of the biggest issues, and it seems like nitpicking, is in Tim's room, right? Tim Harrison. So, there's merchandise in his room, right? Fair enough. But there's literally a comic poster with Gwen's face on it, right? Don't know how the comic people managed to get that out so quickly, right? And there's loads of different things that just aren't in the right time. I just don't think that, you know, there was a lot of thought about the set design. I think it was more purely, let's buy a ton load of Spider-Man posters and just cover this kid's room, because we need to make sure that, you know, Spider-Man knows he's a big fan, you know? Like, I don't know. This movie was really pretentious. And sort of annoying at points, just kind of boring. One thing I will say, there is one scene in particular, one scene that I actually like, right? One that's stuck in my head that I even had to write it down because I was like, that's good, I like that, right? And it's this. So Peter is, when he's going to propose to Gwen, right, which I already said I don't like, before he does, he offers her to go on like a holiday, right? And she's up for it. But then he says, there is a reason why. And as he's got the ring behind his back, he hears, like, sirens. And it kind of snaps him back into reality of, hang on a minute, I can't really do this and be Spider-Man. So he puts it back in his pocket. I like stuff like that. I think it's good. But I think that this movie is for the people that are like, Spider-Man can never be happy. Alright, that's the sort of thing we're going for with Spider-Man Lotus. But at the end of the day, I think as a fan film, I can't give it any less than a 6. Which is nuts. I know that means it's above average, but for a fan movie, it obviously is above average compared to, like, your Superman Solars and stuff like that, right? But as a movie, right, just say, like, because we're talking about, like, a lot of hype, a lot of, you know, stuff built around it. As a movie, it's like a 3, bruv. Like, it's not there, right? A lot of, you know, I'm glad they didn't do a post-credit scene. Let's put it that way, okay? Because they didn't need to do that. Hopefully we see Miles in a second one. If there is going to be a second one, probably not. But thank you guys for watching this video today. I'll see you later. Peace.